Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. I'm your host, Ben. How you doing? I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to introduce you a little bit different, but yeah, and this is our co-host, Carissa. Carissa, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Sorry, I messed you up there.
It's okay. It's Monday. I need to get back into the swing of things and hope everyone out there had a great weekend. Carissa, how was your weekend?
Not bad. Kind of boring. Didn't really do a whole lot, but that's kind of nice too.
Those are good weekends, and I think, obviously, with everyone staying home lately, I think we've all been having those weekends, but that's okay. We are back with a full week of Computer America, and we have a lot going on. Should probably mention that tomorrow on the program, we will have a special segment. Last time, we had a special segment having to do with how tech is being used in domestic abuse and things like that. Very important topic, but, it's just one of our special segments. We've had segments in the past that have covered everything from what's been happening with Huawei. We've had a segment in the past about the dark web. Segment in the past about how to get into coding. We're going to be doing more of these segments where we deep dive into a particular topic and spend the entire show talking about that topic. And tomorrow we're going to have another one. And Carissa, just to throw you a curveball, if you were to guess about any, and by the way, this is something that we talked about just last week, so it's very, very relevant. What topic would you like to deep dive into?
If we talked about it last week.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'd not give Chris any warning. I'm totally just dumping her.
I have no idea. Is it TikTok?
No, actually, although we will be talking about TikTok today, but tomorrow we'll be spending the show. It's actually something that you brought up on the show, Carissa, and I thought, that would be a very, very good topic, and that would be about election security and why we haven't digitized and put the election online. And yeah, we are going to be talking about a lot of different ways to encrypt and send and receive messages and things like that, and really talk about why we don't have online elections at the moment. So tomorrow we're going to answer that question. So
awesome. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're really gonna get into it, and hopefully a lot of you with the election coming up November 3rd, everyone mark your calendars, and I know it's flying right on by. Hey, if you can vote, and really this is the heart of it, if you can vote by mail, why can't you vote by email? So, everyone, that is for tomorrow. Today, though, we have a full show dedicated to computer and technology news. And yeah, that's everything from a recent acquisition by Microsoft, big in the video game world. We have everything from some updates on Epic and TikTok, and Nikola as well. If you haven't heard about that whole thing, that story is probably the biggest story of the month to me. The whole Nikola electric car company thing. It's just blowing my mind. There's tons about, something about Amazon, something about Oracle, something about Tesla. Point is, we have a lot to cover. So, Carissa, actually, I should mention everyone, computeramerica.com. That's very important because that's where you'll find past shows, future shows, show notes. I know that I've been very lax in getting a couple of the previous shows up on the website. I will have those up after the show today. I promise. But yeah, computeramerica.com. There you can find the podcasts, you can find the videos, the audio archives, links to social media, articles, reviews, all that and more. So everyone, go ahead and check that out. Carissa, unless there's anything else, I think we're ready for the news.
I am very ready.
All right. So everyone, here we go. Computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Okay, because I've explained this to everyone in my personal life over the past couple of hours, I wanted to really talk about Nikola. And Nikola, for those of you who don't know, is an electric car company. They have often been touted as really the closest thing to competition that Tesla, the car company, has. And of course, many people would consider, well, let's face it, there's Nikola and then there is Tesla. And obviously both of them named after the famous American inventor, Nikola Tesla. And I think that a lot of people really, how do I put this? Nikola probably coasted on Tesla's coattails for quite a while. It really is a genius in marketing, and honestly, probably the smartest thing that Nikola has ever done. And one of the stupidest things that Nikola has ever done, again, the car company, is get investigated by the SEC. And that is not what you want to happen, where the Security and Exchange Commission comes after you and says, something doesn't look right here. And after the announcement today, the founder and chairman of Nikola stepped down immediately. Just left the company. And again, this is the gentleman that started the whole thing. He has, I think he still has like a 20% stake in the company, which is, last I checked, about $12.4 billion. So he owns he owns a couple billion of that. And the reason why this is such big news is that, well, a lot of people looked at Tesla as one of those companies that, just really made a lot of money in the stock market. They doubled their stock price in a matter of months, made a lot of money. And I'm going to go off script here with the story from Engadget. This is just kind of what we're pulling from. Carissa, this may be a little long, but I want you to get a good idea of Nikola's founder, Trevor Milton, who he is as a person, his background, and, kind of his journey before starting this car company. And, for contrast, like take Elon Musk, for instance. He was from South Africa. His parents owned a big ranch. They fled the country during apartheid. They bought the rights to an emerald mine on their way out, came back to South Africa, worked the emerald mine, made millions upon millions of dollars. He came to America, started working, went to some Ivy League school, I forgot which, and eventually dropped out, started PayPal, earned a couple $1 billion, and then turned around and started Tesla. He comes from a pedigree that was already worth a lot of money, went to some very prestigious institutions, and, had some successes under his belt. That led Tesla to where it is today. Clearly he has a track record of knowing how to build hype and build, some kind of demand for a market that really wasn't there. Before Tesla and the electric car, you had like Ford Fiestas and
you had your
the Prius. Yes.
The Leaf and things like that.
Yeah, things like that. Electric cars just weren't desirable, and that's where Tesla came in and really revamped the market and showed that, hey, if you build an attractive car, people will want to purchase it. So that's their main competitor, Tesla. Now, Trevor Milton, this gentleman, he was born in 1981, by the way. Not an old guy by any means. He's 30. What does that make him? Like 39 years old. 39 years old. He went to high school, went to college, dropped out during his first semester in college to major in marketing and advertising. And by the way, he actually dropped out. And like, you can't even say that he dropped out of his major of marketing and advertising, because your first semester, you're still taking like general education classes. They're still making sure that you can form proper sentences and that you can do basic math. Like that is, so he dropped out of college, went on to start a personal, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is all from memory, but he started a personal ads website to sell used cars. He said that he was purchased out of the industry, and him and his partner split ways. He said he earned about $300,000 when he sold this service to a competitor, and his his partner in the business said, no, it was actually much lower, but you got to bump up those numbers to make yourself look respectable. So that was a failed venture, and he says he made $300,000. It was probably substantially less. And so he took that money, turned around and started up his second business was a security system, like ADT Ring, things like that. That failed after he was investigated for something or other, and again he was kind of bailed out. But he just not a very successful venture. He sold that company, went on to start his first electric car company back in like 2012. I think it was D-Hybrid was the name of the company. And they made a partnership with Swift, and Chris, I'm sure you know Swift, the freight, the trucking company. Right. They promised to electrify a number of their fleets by a certain date. They did not meet the deadline, and Swift sued the company into oblivion because, they essentially took the money and could never deliver what they promised. So you think someone with that track record, I don't know what kind of ties to the industry he had that he could still keep getting investors. But after D-Hybrid, he went on to start Nikola. And with Nikola, he got a bunch more money. Started in 2015, 2018. He sold a 5% of his company. So he had 25%. He sold it down to 20%. Made a couple, hundreds of millions of dollars for himself. Guess what he did with that, Chris? And like you can say you can say what you want about Elon Musk and Tesla, but he really tied his personal financial success to the success of his company, where, he had to meet certain benchmarks. And as soon as his company was X amount of profitable or held a profit for 3 quarters, or his stock price got to a certain point, as soon as the company was successful, then Elon Musk could exercise his rights to take some money out. Nikola and Trevor, by extension, he said, everyone keep putting money in, investors keep putting money in, I'm taking money out, I still believe in my company wholeheartedly. But he took out like $500 million of the investors' money and bought a 17,000 square foot mansion in Utah that is currently sitting on 2,000 acres. I think he bought it for, what was it, $32.5 million was the cost of the estate. Which at the time, and I think it still holds it, is the most expensive personal property sold, or private property sold in Utah to this date.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna, guess that maybe he bought an island or something, but that's probably worse than buying an island.
Yeah, because it's in Utah. It's
that too.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. But he did it, and he purchased the house, and so that was back in 2018, and since 2019, they released some very doctored photos that were awful. This car company has grown to be, again, $12 billion company, and they don't even have a production line set up. They don't have a production floor set up. They don't have a proof of concept. Their only vehicle that they had, which you can see behind them, it's like a Nikola kind of freight truck kind of deal. This just happened last week, and I just recalled it. We were going to cover it on the show, but we never got to it. They showed a well-produced Nikola truck commercial, or kind of ad saying, hey, look, the Nikola truck is coming. Carissa, they admitted last month that they put the car on the road and then they let it roll downhill so it looked like it was moving, and then they used a drone and camera effects and well produced video to make it look like they had a working car. They had it was essentially a giant matchbox car. They just set it on top of a hill and let it roll down.
What an epic scam.
Yeah, and of course, I did not say that, but the SEC is going to check into that. So anyways, no production floor, nothing to really show for the amount of money that they put in. Just at the beginning of this month, GM somehow partnered with Nikola and invested another $2 billion to help speed up the production of the cars. And of course, GM was going to, kind of build some of their vehicles in Nikola's factories, or it was like Nikola was going to lease production floor from GM. Either way, up until this point, Nikola said that they were still aiming for a 2027 launch date for their truck. Like, you can finally buy their truck in 2027. They were still 7 years off, with billions of dollars of funds being pumped into the company.
That's amazing. Like, how do you do that if there's no production happening?
I don't even know. And like, there's no research happening either. It's truly just marketing. And I guess this guy picked up everything he needed to know in the first half of his first semester in college. But
he's like, forget that. I don't need the rest of that. And just went off to do marketing and then set this up somehow.
And he set this up. And again, he has probably the most expensive house in Utah. He, this company, and again, the SEC finally said, well, we're thinking about launching a probe into Nikola. So let's go ahead and talk about this article, because this is what happened today. And they said that Nikola is truly, and by the way, this is the words of the founder, Trevor Milton. He's stepping down as executive chairman. Nikola is truly in my blood and always will be, and the focus should be on the company and its world-changing mission, not me, he said in a statement. So I made the difficult decision to approach the board and volunteer to step aside as executive chairman. How nice of him. Former vice chairman of General Motors and Nikola board member Stephen Gursky will take his place. The company said GM recently sealed a $1 billion deal to supply Nikola. Deal with Nikola to supply it with batteries, fuel cells, and other parts. GM will also build the Badger hydrogen-powered pickup truck for Nikola. So, yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, and obviously, to GM, $2 billion. It's not nothing, but I feel like they're still going to get something out of it. Nikola, though, I mean, it seems like it was a huge lifeline. So with that being said, last paragraph, Nikola has developed electric semi-trucks along with the Badger and other zero-emission vehicles. The company also plans to develop hydrogen fueling infrastructure. However, it was recently accused of intricate fraud, quote-unquote, by a short seller called Hindenburg Research, reportedly prompting a probe by the U.S. Department of Justice and the SEC. They denied the accusations, calling them false and misleading. And yeah, they even have a nice, nice thing here, with all their accolades and everything that they've done. This, and like, here's the thing that kind of blows my mind, Chris, is like, Nikola is often quoted again as being the closest competitor to Tesla. And my point with all this is that for Tesla, for a founder to have billions of dollars of his own money to help support the company when it first starts, as we know, Tesla gets almost free publicity in everything that they do. Elon Musk just has to tweet and everyone rushes to report it. They get infinite free advertising. They have, they have investors coming out their ears. They have a stock that has shot up like 10 times its value in like less than 2 years. And as a car company, they still barely made it. And some could argue that they still need to prove that they did make it. They have everything going for them, and they're barely a car company. I don't understand how anyone could look at Nikola's story, Nikola's past, Nikola's future, and go, oh yeah, these guys are definitely going to make it.
It's got to be his charm or something. He's got to be like the most charming guy on the face of the earth. There's no other way to I don't even know how else he would do that.
Yeah. And
just to funnel millions of dollars into this company when he's not making anything.
Billions of dollars in the company. Yeah. And actually, now that I look at it, I think that we've actually had them on the show. I actually remember interviewing them here on the show when they came out with this Wave runner that they had. Wow, yeah, I gotta dig that back up. That was back in like 2017 though. Like, it's been a couple of years. It was very slick and they promised a lot. And even 3 years later, after we interviewed them on the show saying that it was coming and pre-ordering could happen, still haven't made it to actual production. This company is a long, slow train wreck. And
they've got a nice website. They look like they've got enough, art and marketing and things like that.
everything is CGI. Everything is, very, very well produced. But really, at the end of the day, they just don't have anything that you can actually go through any of these and be like, well, you can pre-order this, you can pre-order the Nikola 1 or the Nikola 2. I mean, heck, the Nikola 2 and the Nikola 3 are out before you can even buy the Nikola 1. You can't buy anything that this company supposedly makes. You contact them, you say you want one, and they're going to say, oh, well, we'll put you on the waiting list and we'll do our best. They sell a lot of promises. They're very good at marketing. Clearly, you can see, that the design and everything, like you said, Carissa, is impeccable. It's just nothing is actually going to come to fruition. So, okay, we're going to transition, but all in all, that story was just blowing my mind because, again, it's just... They somehow seem to find billions of dollars in backing without ever actually having to create anything, which is, I think, unfortunately, kind of the end result of the venture capital system that we're in, which is you get billions of dollars, you become an instant overnight competitor, and then it's kind of up to the people who never ran a $1 billion company before. It's up to them to figure out how to turn a profit. Like profits can come later. Growth is all that matters right now. And yeah, not Tesla, Nikola may be one of the prime examples because, say what you want about Tesla. You could hate Elon Musk. You could hate Tesla. I see Teslas driving around my town. I know that they make cars.
You can see it.
Yeah. You know that they make cars. And that's more than you can say for Faraday Future, Nikola, half a dozen other car companies from China. That's okay. So that's the end of that. That was
what an interesting article.
I know.
That's so ridiculous.
I'm sorry that took up not 3/4, a third of the show, but that is just, I think, one of the biggest. So again,
yeah, absolutely.
The point of it all, they are now going to be under investigation by the SEC, and their stock has dropped like 30% today.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. It's time we put an end to this. So let's see. So we can jump from that and we could do scam to scam. Let's talk about this one real quick. So, Carissa, I don't know how often you buy inexpensive items on Amazon. Like
pretty often. Like not intentionally, but like if something's like cheap enough, I might
like
just
add-ons. And I'm talking like, the sub $3, $5 kind of things. Well, sometimes what happens is that and I think I've talked about this on the show before, they'll include a little code, they say, or a little pamphlet, and they say, if you go on our website, go on Amazon.com, give us a good review, give us a 5-star review, take a screenshot, submit it to our customer support, we'll refund you the money that you paid for this. And so they get a glowing handwritten review for the cost of like $5. And, of course, the end consumer gets the product that they want for free. It's a win-win, except for everyone else who's going to be scammed by those fake reviews. So here we go. This is coming out of Ars Technica about Amazon, saying that 6 people were indicted on allegations of paying over $100,000 in bribes to Amazon employees and contractors as part of a scheme to give third-party sellers unfair advantages in the Amazon marketplace. And I'm sure we'll talk about what they did, but yeah, even though you can detect these things, it looks like there's even another front where it was happening from the inside, bribes and reinstating bad objects and bad accounts, things like that. So anyways, among other things, the indictment says that Amazon workers who accepted bribes reinstated sellers whose accounts had been suspended for offering dangerous products, and these workers suspended the seller accounts of fraudulent sellers' competitors. So not only did they reinstate shoddy companies and shoddy products, they then shut down legitimate competitors in the field.
Huh.
Yeah, Amazon isn't the perfect marketplace that's I think a lot of people would assume. So
No, definitely not. I mean, I don't know who still assumes that, but
well, and
maybe some people do.
I think that people who use eBay, for a long time started to realize, some people on eBay are really bad, and you really need to take a look at their reviews, make sure that they have a long selling history, see if there's any like 1-star reviews, or if there's too many, similar 5-star reviews, you need to take that into consideration. And I think for Amazon, one of the things that propelled Amazon to the top were the product reviews. Like I think that people who didn't even purchase from Amazon still went to Amazon to see the reviews of a given product that they then went to purchase elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and obviously that has become such an important factor. It's almost like being ranked high in Google, that they're willing to scam their way to kind of get high up in the rankings. So let's talk about this real quick. Department of Justice today announced an indictment handed down by a grand jury in Washington. The defendants paid bribes in at least 10 different Amazon employees and contractors. In one case, a 31-year-old defendant accepted bribes as a seller support associate in India before becoming an outside consultant who recruited and paid bribes to his former colleagues. A bad apple, I guess you would say.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So in exchange for bribes, Amazon workers baselessly and fraudulently conferred tens of millions of dollars of competitive benefits upon hundreds of third-party sellers across the defendants purported to represent. Let's see, helped reinstate products, as we said before, suspended or blocked entities doing business on Amazon Marketplace, reinstated dietary supplements that had been suspended because of customer safety complaints, household electronics that were flagged as flammable, consumer goods that had been flagged for intellectual property violations, and other goods. All this, and of course, making improper contact with consumers, other violations of the seller policies. So I think we're going to not do this entire thing, but I just want everyone to know that this is a thing where you need to be super careful. And at this point, I can say this all I want, but be careful with who you do business with on Amazon. But really, I don't know, Chris, how do you tell the good from the bad when, you have people working on the inside and people working on the outside to actively sabotage a healthy marketplace?
There's really no way to do it other than get the product, see how it works, and then ask for your money back and hopefully get a response, I would think. Because, there's no way they're going to be able to filter through all of that again, especially if it's already been reinstated. Who knows how many, companies have been like that. And I also wonder if maybe this is happening more so because everyone's upset with Amazon, the way they treat their workers and stuff. So maybe the workers are rebelling in this way.
Well,
rather than being a bad apple,
Yeah,
maybe it's revenge.
I don't think it would be as much as revenge as it would just be, let's face it, this gentleman's from India. Let's see if I could use my digital assistant, I would know already. Let's see, average income in India. So they said that, they paid, what was it, $100,000 on average for each one of these bribes, or no. It was like $10,000. It was in the article. Let's say $100,000 in bribes to Amazon contractors. And in one case, 31-year-old defendant. So the average wage in India per year, you're looking at about $2,000. That's the average income in a year. Per month, it's about $178. And you could see that clearly people don't make a lot of money there. If someone comes up to you and says that, well, we'll give you $5,000, which is like 2 years' salary in a lump sum. Yeah, you're going to be really willing to do some not so on the up and up stuff. Right. I think this is a matter of greed, and not greed. I mean, let's face it, they're underpaid, and they saw a way to make some quick cash. You can't really blame them, but at the same time, it is technically illegal. So.
Right.
You do what you do. So, okay. All that being said, let's go ahead and switch topics real quick to our next story, and then we'll do a separate one. And Chris, I'm assuming that you look through all the stories that we have, but I wanted to cover another big story, and this has to do with TikTok. two related ones. One of them is like, well, duh, this was going to happen, and the other one was big news that came out at this weekend. Carissa, I'm truly hoping that you detached, you relaxed, and you did not monitor social media or news sites for the weekend.
Nope, not really.
Perfect. That is, ladies and gentlemen, that is the right thing to do. Unplug yourself from the constant stream of information once in a while. It will do wonders for your mental health. Trust me. But if you were one of the sad people like myself that actually paid attention this weekend, Trump was supposed to hand down an injunction that would stop all TikTok downloads in the country this weekend. He said that he would ban it completely, whatever. There was a deal on the table for Oracle to purchase, and actually it was like Oracle and Walmart would pool their money together and actually purchase TikTok, and they would like divest themselves in like only America. So like ByteDance would divest itself from the American branch of TikTok. And then TikTok would be picked up by Oracle, and Oracle would, of course, run the infrastructure, the data servers, things like that. And Walmart would help brand it and, just kind of pay for it. Essentially, how do you find a buyer for something that is like a really expensive asset? And to that end, we have the story here from Markets Insider that kind of goes to show that they, ByteDance really doesn't want to sell. They want to keep it. And one key indication of that is this story here where, ByteDance has claimed that their U.S. operations is worth $60 billion just for its U.S. operation. And think about that. There's, I want to say about 60 million TikTok user accounts in the U.S. or something like that. Yeah, you're talking like $1,000 per account that U.S. is running. They know that if they want to be purchased by a company, they're going to get top dollar for this thing. They are not desperate to sell. I think they would rather shut down their U.S. arm than actually sell to a U.S. company. So,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So let's talk about this one real quick, and then we'll talk about what happened this weekend. And I honestly don't know if you can download TikTok currently or if you can't. Yeah, supposedly Sunday they were supposed to, but then Trump said that he would, in theory, approve an Oracle / Walmart, kind of acquisition of TikTok. He would approve it, kind of, but it wasn't what he said he wanted when Microsoft was in talks to buy it. It's gotten so convoluted and messy. Maybe this is why you don't get involved in acquisitions like these as president, because the politics of it and the money of it all just doesn't make sense. So TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance is seeking a valuation of $60 billion for TikTok as its proposed new U.S. company. Bloomberg reported, citing an anonymous source, that technology services company Oracle and retailer Walmart will take about a 20% cut, 12.5 to 7.5, so about 20% cut, respectively, in TikTok Global. The two will still pay a combined $12 billion if they agree to ByteDance's $60 billion asking price. And they said that the deal gives China's ByteDance 12 months to hold an initial public offering in the U.S. So, from my understanding, what this is that, again, Carissa, the problem the U.S. has with TikTok is that they think is a huge siphon of information, personal information from the U.S. to the Chinese government that can be used for spying and all that kind of thing. They're okay with that. They're okay with the information siphoning that TikTok does, as long as it goes to a U.S. company.
Right.
So, their plan, ByteDance's plan, is to say, okay, we will have a completely separate company that will run the U.S. operation that has no ties whatsoever other than, kind of being the same in name, but all the operations will be hosted in North America, and everything will be handled over there. Two completely separate companies, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they'll have no connection to the Chinese government, quote unquote, supposedly. Who knows? All that being said, whether or not the Trump administration would be for this, and I keep bringing up politics because they have entwined themselves in this deal so much. So that's kind of the current state of things. They need to sell to a U.S. company, and instead of outright selling to Microsoft or anything like that, instead it looks like they're going to start their own company that is a separate company from the one that still owns TikTok in every other part of the world. As confusing as that is. So they own it, but at the same time, they don't own it. Very Schrodinger. If you look at it, yeah, maybe the company's dead, maybe the company's alive, but hey, let's not open the box. Now, they said that the deal is still pending approval from China. The company has prevented its video sharing app from ban for at least a week. As the U.S. previously announced on Friday, it would ban all new downloads of TikTok and WeChat starting Sunday.
Yeah, but what about the ones that already have it downloaded? Those are still there? Like it's not off the marketplaces?
So, and that was another kind of tongue-in-cheek headline that I read, Carissa. They said, U.S. government protects consumers by banning security updates for TikTok. Essentially, if you have it on your phone already, you're good to go. You can still use TikTok. You can still make videos. You can still share it with other people who still have it. I think at this point, you can't download it, and you can't download any security updates. So if there's any kind of flaw, if there's anything wrong with the app, you cannot go to the App Store and update the app. Like, the app will still work. If for any reason they decide to kind of cut access to the servers, then it wouldn't. But you can still use it. You just can't update it or download it fresh. So that's the current state, which is very confusing. That's something that I've never really heard of before. Because
you think you would need the security updates, right? Because that's the stuff that you're worried about trying to getting in the first place. So wouldn't you want to have the security updates in place?
I guess not. That's not what they want to do. So with that being, and so as I said before, there's this whole deal with Oracle and Walmart and a whole new company, which is TikTok US or whatever heck. Let's see, ByteDance, TikTok Global, which would handle the US arm of it. So they said that President Donald Trump said, "I approve this deal in concept," which is, my God, the biggest dodge that you can possibly say yes or no, because we're talking again about $60 billion, thousands of jobs, tons and tons. Won't anyone think of the influencers? Tons of influencers who have to, and I'm kind of tongue in cheek about this, but I know that people do make a living, and their followers, their fan base, their audience is on a platform that at this moment they don't know. Right now I have 1.2 million followers. Tomorrow, I don't know if I'll have any of them. That's a very uncomfortable place to be. And right now, the president just said, well, theoretically I do, which doesn't help anyone. Now, TikTok has been scrambling to find a U.S. buyer for its operations, or it risks being banned in the United States altogether. I would say they are one step from that. They're as close to being banned without being banned as they can. Now, let's see. So TikTok was in discussions for a possible takeover by Microsoft, as we said, but it was rejected by ByteDance. The U.S. administration has claimed the new entity will be controlled by Americans, but ByteDance will still retain an 80% stake in TikTok Global. Like I said, China owns it, but they don't run it, but they still have a vested interest, but they won't have any access to it. It's very confusing. A judge blocked a U.S. effort over the weekend to ban Chinese messaging app WeChat, which is owned by Tencent. WeChat is a whole nother can of worms. ByteDance has said that it will not transfer its algorithms to Oracle, a condition the U.S. administration was pushing for. The company had planned to list the entire business in a global IPO, go, but back in July was said to be considering a listing in Hong Kong only after the relationship between China and the U.S. deteriorated. Carissa, we talked with a Washington Post journalist about this, a couple weeks ago. And since then, it's only gotten more convoluted. I think we did our best in explaining that, but I think we just have to tell our audience, if there's anything that you're confused about with the TikTok ByteDance story, us too, and we don't know either. It's very up in the air, which is unfortunately not where you want to be with a multi-billion-dollar IP. So
right, and it changes almost every day at this point too. So like we're trying.
Does. It does. Just over the weekend, they said that they were definitely going to be banned, and then they said, "Oh, but we might have a deal, but possibly not." It's a very hard thing to to really get a handle on. And again, there was another story. This one here, we'll include it in the show notes, by Ars Technica. Everything we know about Oracle not actually buying TikTok, which again, at best, Oracle says that they would handle all of the US-based servers and algorithms and things like that, so that the US doesn't have to worry that China is surreptitiously taking user information. TikTok Global did not approve that, and even in best case scenario, Oracle would only have a 12% stake in the company, which I think at this point would be like a $7.5 billion investment. Nothing is totally set in stone. And for all of you TikTokers out there who were like, TikTok is saved, we get to keep our platform, everything is good again. No, you're very, very far from anything being set in stone and, kind of good to go. Unfortunately, this is probably the same negotiation tactic we've had with a number of other Chinese companies, where the Trump administration is probably going to try to use that as leverage in upcoming negotiations with China and trade talks and things like that. Yet another bargaining chip, but this affects just so many people. So there you go. Okay. There's that story. Man, all these, and I'm not going to say my head hurts. I'm actually feeling pretty good. But I want something a little lighter, a little fluffier. I got just the one. And Carissa, you mentioned this before the show. Ladies and gentlemen, sit down. This is going to be important. Microsoft has purchased, Carissa, who did they purchase?
Bethesda.
Wait. Let's see. Microsoft purchased. Go again.
Bethesda.
Yes,
nice.
Yes, very good, very good.
Nice clip.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good. Congratulations to Microsoft. That's hugely important, and audience.
And now they can have more of my money too. That's fine, I guess.
No, wait, not that one. That would be the triumph that they would do. But no, all right, wrong button. Anyways, it's actually a very, very big deal, and I think that a lot of people are actually kind of okay with it. I know that me personally, I'm actually very okay with it. Microsoft as a gaming company have really, almost since they've lost the console wars to PlayStation in many regards, Microsoft as a gaming company have really been doing very, very good in supporting their indie companies. I guess they can't be indie if they're owned by Microsoft, but still, in 2019, that was the major push back at the 2019 E3, was that Microsoft was like, we're going to purchase all of these indie game companies that make all these amazing games. We're going to support them financially, and we're going to let them continue to do what they do best creatively. So far, that has held up in a lot of regards. And if you haven't checked out the Xbox Game Pass, then I highly encourage that you do, because a lot of these games, even though a lot of these games that they're supporting come out for free, it's still an amazing value. And I think I read another article somewhere around here that said that Microsoft currently has 12.5 million Game Pass subscribers, which is $15 a month, but still, that is an incredible amount, and Game Pass is clearly a success, and they're doing great things with it. looks like it's going to get even better. So Microsoft has agreed to acquire ZeniMax Media, the parent company of Doom and Fallout studio Bethesda Software, for $7.5 billion in cash. And the way that this is written, I assume that there's a back alley somewhere where they met in a briefcase, probably
I wonder
multiple.
how many briefcases you would need.
That would be a great, let's say $100 bills wrapped up. I don't know. I'm a number.
At least 10, I think.
Yes, at least 10. That's a good number. So 10 briefcases were slipped over, and now ZeniMax Media is owned by Microsoft. The acquisition follows earlier Bethesda games coming to Xbox Game Pass on console and PC, and it gives Microsoft control of upcoming games like Starfield. Starfield is a really, really cool space exploration game. So Microsoft says future Bethesda games, including Starfield, will launch on Xbox Game Pass the day they come to Xbox or PC. Really, Xbox is trying to turn their Game Pass into what Netflix is for games, where you just pay a subscription and you get amazing games. And I mean, you really do get AAA games. It's not just filler. You've never heard of games. Although there are games that you have never heard of before on Game Pass, there really are AAA games that you can get on there. So the news arrives just as Microsoft is gearing up for its next two consoles, including the Series X and the Series S. Bethesda already announced two upcoming PlayStation 5 and PC exclusives, including Arcane's Deathloop and the Tango Gameworks title Ghostwire Tokyo. Xbox boss Phil Spencer confirmed that Microsoft will honor these time-exclusive deals, but future games will come to non-Xbox platforms on a case-by-case basis. So essentially what they're saying is Bethesda games are guaranteed to come out on Xbox, but, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you come out with like the next Elder Scrolls, that's probably not going to be a console exclusive. But, it's going to guaranteed come out on Xbox, and then they'll go on a case-by-case basis for everything else. Microsoft will launch its next-generation consoles November 10th, and a number of these games will be included in the Game Pass, including things like Dishonored, which was a great game, Wolfenstein, Doom, The Evil Within, and more. So Microsoft says Bethesda will retain its existing leadership, so at least the head honchos don't get kicked out. They're saying that, quote, "We're still working on the same game we were yesterday, made by the same studio we've worked with for years, and those games will still be published by us." And that is what Bethesda wrote in a statement. So
excellent.
Carissa, I gotta say, I know that things change when a corporate structure comes in and absorbs another corporate structure. But as far as I can tell, Microsoft has been very hands-off, and they've really let game companies and game developers do what they do best. And don't get me wrong, they have pulled the plug on a number of things that haven't been working, but at the same time, a lot of things have come to market, and this won't be the end of Bethesda. I'm hoping this is a really, really, really big partnership that, if nothing else, $7.5 billion infusion in cash means that we'll get Elder Scrolls before 2024, which I think is what Elder Scrolls 6 is kind of slated to be at. Maybe production speed increases. Maybe. I'm hoping.
I'm more so looking forward to them actually being able to, I guess, afford to keep updating Fallout 76, because
that's true.
It's getting better, but it's still a work in progress.
That is kind of the unfortunate thing about about those online games. And actually, let's see, there was one about Avengers, Marvel Avengers game. And have you heard about the Marvel's Avengers game? Do you know anything about that one? So it's actually pretty popular. And it's like an MMO. You play as a hero. You can do all these things. This just came out today. This is from Engadget to your end, saying that you hope that they continue to support future games. Well, check this one out. To that end, Square Enix says that the next patches will focus on quality of life improvements, but the current patch fixes over 1,000 bugs.
Yeah, right.
Imagine having 1,000 bugs to fix, in a finished game, like a game that currently has people playing on it. This thing was unveiled mid-2019. It launched May 15th of this year, and they tried to launch it with the Avengers Endgame kind of hype, but yeah, it was doing well. It just turns out that they had a lot of bugs to improve. My point is, games are not released in a finished state anymore. They are released, they make some money, they make their impact, and then depending on the level of interest and ongoing users, then they get fixed, support, added new content, so on and so forth.
Which I guess is important because that also means that people have more of a say in what happens with these games that they're actually playing. So if there's constant updates and they're taking your advice, then you get a more complete game like what you're actually looking for too. So I guess that's a good thing.
I would say that putting out a finished game is probably ideal, but that doesn't mean that bad games can't become good. One of my favorite examples of that is Destiny. And I know that we're up to Destiny 2 now, but the first Destiny, I did not jump in when Destiny Vanilla was launched. And then they had the Taken King and one other expansion. I came in kind of at the end with the third expansion. That game was awesome. It was an amazing game, but unfortunately, so many people who just played the initial vanilla experience were like, "Oh, I'm never going back to that. It was awful." Games do get better over time, and it's unfortunate that so many people can look at a game and go, "I'm never giving that a second chance," because they do get better. So, Marvel's Avengers, Fallout 76, Destiny 2. Hey, just because the game is released doesn't mean it's finished, and give it a chance. Okay, so there's that story. I don't want to talk about that one. We have a number of other stories here that we can talk about. Okay. I really don't want to talk. I have the story here about Epic, and I know that we just did the whole Epic Games versus Apple last month, and essentially Epic came out and said what I said, where using that kind of terminology is flawed, and that their user base actually grew 40% over that time period.
Oh, wow.
That Apple claimed that they were actually losing interest, but yeah, that's whatever. Let's do this one. And it's a little dystopian, but I think people need to know what companies can do with the information that their phone is collecting. And this is something that I'm doing this story for obviously everyone out there, but I'm also doing it for myself because I want to commit this to memory. This is by Sydney Fussell for Wired.com, although it's hosted on Ars Technica, saying that companies can track your phone's movements to target ads, saying that a startup gathers data on when you pick up your phone or go out on a run. So this is they track your phone's movements to target ads, and they don't mean the phone is moving past a Starbucks, so give them a Starbucks ad. What they mean is this phone, the user checks their phone every day in the morning. So let's hit them with breakfast cereal advertisements. Or this person goes out on a run on average 4 days a week. That's what this phone bouncing, moving like it does, moving over this, moving this certain speed. They know that you're running and they know that the route that you take. So they'll go, this person is an active runner. Let's hit them with the Reebok ads and the fitness clothing ads and things like that.
Right.
I guess you could take it the other way and say, oh, this person, let's say my phone, Ben's phone doesn't move at all Monday through Sunday. And so we should probably hit him with Hot Pockets and Cheetos ads or things like that. The point is, they're taking your phone's movements and thinking of ways that advertisers might be able to target that as well.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's something that I had never really considered, but it makes so much sense. So Google and Apple have taken steps this year to help users shield themselves from the hundreds of companies that are trying to build profiles based on online behavior. In January, Google said it would phase out third-party cookies on the Chrome browser, making it harder for advertisers to track shopping habits. Publishers and advertisers use cookies to compile shopping, browsing, search data, and other profiles. So, well, Google will still collect the data for its own search engine, plus sites like YouTube and Gmail. So, yeah, the race to claim your user data is alive and well. It's just now only a few people have it. Apple, meanwhile, says that it will require apps to be forthcoming. They will require apps in a forthcoming version of iOS to ask before tracking your users, though it delayed the effective date until next year after complaints from Facebook. A poll from June showed that 80% of respondents would opt in to such tracking. I said that wrong. Would not opt in to such tracking. I was surprised. But yeah, so essentially, Google says that no more cookies, and Apple says it's okay to track your users. You just have to ask them permission first, which is very, not what it has been for a little while now. But big companies with large repositories of first-party data about their consumers probably aren't going to be terribly negatively impacted. Yeah, so, here's the point. We see Apple's announcement, consumers getting more conscious of privacy and the depth of the cookie, and they have a startup called the Number 8. They have context prediction software where the tool helps apps infer user activity based on data from a smartphone sensors, whether they're running or seated near a park or museum, driving or riding a train. Most smartphones have internal components that record data of their movements. They have things like accelerometers and a magnetometer, which is drawn to magnetic poles. These and other sensors also power features like rise to wake. So, your phone, when you're holding it like this, the phone is off, but then you hold it like that and the phone screen comes on. Little things like that. The sensors allow for some of the basic features, but they know when you pick it up, when it's powered on, when you rotate it, when you are actually looking at it versus when you're just picking it up. Mm-hmm. So, all that being said, the companies like Number 8 use sensor data to categorize users. Instead of building a profile to target, say, a woman over 35, a service could target ads to early risers. Because obviously, if you wake up every day and look at your phone at 7 a.m., hey, they know that you're an early riser. It can use... Let's see, they know people who are maybe heavy runners or long distance commuters. A music app may use the service to determine when users are most likely to skip certain songs based on whether they are jogging or at home. They can personalize the app based on real-time information in people's activities. Yeah, and one more quote here, and then we'll react, and then I think we'll be unfortunately done for today's show. But they're saying, quote, brands are forced to rethink their campaigns, which has always been, I want to know the individual and know their preferences. And he says, quote, you don't need to know the individual, you just need to know whether your product or service is going to land with the right audience. Saying that they'd rather not collect data than send the message that they're tracking users, even if they may very well be. So essentially, what they're getting at is, even if they can't collect that Ben is a 29-year-old Caucasian male who lives here and does this and, so on and so forth, even if, they're not legally really allowed to collect that kind of data anymore, they at least can collect data like Ben gets up every day at 8, he doesn't run, he does this and this and this and uses these services, and they can still hyper-target their advertising in a way that isn't, almost... personally intrusive, yes. Yeah,
that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but I like that slightly more than them knowing all of the information. I understand that's how they make their money. Obviously, ads, that's how you do it. So you can't really avoid that if you're a company. You have to advertise.
Yeah, you have to advertise, but at the same time, you don't need to know people's social security number to say, hey, they might be interested in vitamins. I mean, there has to be a point. And the article wraps up with this one sentence: the future will be slightly more anonymous with less tracking from everyone, but the biggest in the field I'm sorry, from everyone but the biggest in the field, but potentially even less private. The old world of these predefined segments like soccer moms or other ad categories will start to decrease, which, like I said, it's no longer about targeting, millennials or, people who are aging out of their home or things like that. It's no longer about aging segments. It's about habits. And who what kind of person. It's not about, age, race, things like that. It's about what kind of person you are and whether or not you'll be receptive to them. So,
right.
They're, you put these sensors into people's phones and they're going to find ways to make money off of it. That's just the way things are. And Carissa, I'm actually kind of with you on this one. I like that it's going to be more anonymous. They still need to make their money. And, if they don't have to get too personal, but they can target me with relevant ads, I'd actually be okay with that. So,
yep.
Here we are. Everyone, that's it for today. Music in the background means that we are done. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in for the show. Hopefully you learned something. And again, tomorrow we'll be doing everything about election voting and security, things like that, and answering that all-important question. Well, why can't we vote online? Why can't we vote on Facebook? Why is it that I have to do it the old-fashioned way? So everyone, until next time, see you here tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.